Morning, morning. John Edwards, Kenneth Gabriel, Natalie Faria. Morning to you guys. Brenda Isaac, good morning. Keelan Jackson, morning. Christopher Serrett, Alison Boyce, morning. Alison, Ruth Frontin, Annette Beard, Joy Ragunanan, morning. Joy, Adriana Alexis, morning. Morning. Felix Hospitalis, Kathleen Key, morning to all of you. Janice Matthews, Clay Irish, morning. Tian Mohammed, morning. Anna Sisnut, morning. Anna. Clayton Smith, good morning to all of you guys. Touch on that tonight. Let's see what's the time there. Happy 4th of July to all of those who are celebrating that. I know we have a lot of people on here from the US, particularly Florida, one of my favorite states. They're celebrating their Independence Day today. Let's see. Merle Durant from Brooklyn. Morning, Merle. Merle is one of those celebrating, I suppose, today. So to be what? I think it's the 247th year of independence. It's been a while. 1776, was it? I guess Annette is also there. Yeah. Pauline Buckmeyer also from Florida. Yeah, we have a lot of Florida people here. Yeah, so enjoy it. I've had the experience only on 2 occasions of being in Florida on the 4th of July. Didn't get to experience the fireworks too. Yeah, so maybe some other time that opportunity will present itself. We say, morning, Angie. I didn't see Angie pop up yet, but in case she's there. Patty Kutu, morning. Sedena Kwashi, Alberta, Sampat, J Dimples, good morning. Anton Pai, Linda Supreme, good morning. Linda is from Queens, New York. Morning, Linda. So, Linda has a holiday today too, I think. Winston Jack, Jaya Gordon, Alison Rogers, Joseph, morning. Maria Lyons, morning, Maria. Right, so let me get into it while the other folks are joining. So we are familiar with that saying, what karma is, right? Right. Let me get this here. Yeah, so on Sunday, I would have opened the program with a clip from last week Monday's Monday Night Forum. I don't care if they change the name to the Monday Night Report. We still calling it what it is, Monday Night Forum, because when we look at the behavior at some of these meetings, it's really looking like it's a forum. So I would have played the clip with the leader of the opposition, or the misleader of the opposition, telling her supporters that Rowley increased the price of flour by 33%. Not that the price of flour went up, but that Rowley increased the price of flour. Why would she have specified and said Rowley? Because The strategy is to get people to hate Rowley or hate Rowley more. Yeah, blame Rowley for the high price of food because he has control apparently. He can pick up the phone and call the flour companies and tell them increase flour when he wants to and reduce the price when he wants to. Yeah, or he could call the grocery and tell them what price they charge for their goods and so on. So it's a hate Rowley campaign, Rowley must go. Well, we see last night or yesterday, Nutramix, one of the flour Nutramix flour mills, one of the flour companies in Trinidad and Tobago, put out a release which reads, and this is the 3rd of July 2023, Nutramix flour mills announces price reduction on flour. So at Nutramix, we recognize the importance of keeping basic food items at minimal and affordable prices. As a leading manufacturer of flour, one of our key priorities is to continuously seek out initiatives to ensure that our products are safely produced and sold at competitive prices. Effective 3rd of July 2023, yesterday, didn't waste no time, Nutramix flour mills will immediately reduce the prices on our range of Country Pride and Nutramix premium grade 2 kilogram and 10 kilogram flour products. And this price reduction ranges from 10% to 13% on our 2 kilogram flour and 10% to 12% on our 10 kilogram size. In addition, a price reduction on our entire range of 45 kg products is imminent. So they didn't stop with just yesterday, right? More price reductions to come. Globally, wheat prices and shipping costs have decreased, and there has been an improvement in the reliability of the supply chain. Locally, we have experienced increased foreign exchange costs, excluding USD. So the issue is not US, it's other currencies. Insurance, transportation, security, and wages. These factors collectively have inhibited us from reducing our prices by a greater amount. Not Rowley, right? So they indicated they could have reduced it even further had it not been for all of these other things: insurance, transportation, security, wages. We have also taken several initiatives to improve the efficiency of our operations and reduce our milling and processing costs. See how many different things impact the cost of flour? I didn't see them mention Rowley yet. At the Nutramix Group, we know that consumers are presented with various choices that influence their decisions, and therefore we extend a heartfelt thank you to all of our loyal customers who choose to support us even in difficult times. It is a testimony to the quality of our product service and unwavering commitment to our customers. For that reason, it is our absolute desire for the price reduction to reach directly into the hands of households and consumers. 1 week ago, I told you, and you believe they increased the price of flour, man? Rowley increased the price of flour by 33%. You can believe that? No, we can't. We didn't. Imagine now, so I saw this last night, well, when it was first posted. And in reading the comments, of course, the usual suspects, supporters of that party, talking about, nah, that's an election gimmick. Something's fishy here. How they reduce the price of the flour, and just last week, flour mills increased, NFM increased the price of their flour by 33%. NFM never did that. Your leader, in her mind, right? NFM that lives in the head of Kamala Prasad Bisasa did that. Not the real NFM. They did nothing of the sort, right? So it is reinforced now that she's a liar. You see? So whoever given her the information, whether she just goes through social media and looks for things to talk about, does little to no research, but will run up on our platform and just say things and put it out there. It's just like with the fake oil thing. Somebody had an internal audit report, an incomplete internal audit report. And you see something inside there, you run out. Yes, I catch them. You read it out. You make your claim about fake oil and whatnot and all kind of bacana. You realize it's put out there. Right now, she's the subject of a lawsuit by the owners of AV Drilling for what she said. So in time, she may have to pay some money to these folks. It was just like when the government was looking to lease or to rent number 3 Alexandra Street to house the office of the CPO. She came at a Monday night forum and said that she was told that the workers of the CPO's office, the personnel department at the building in Barataria, are very, very happy with the accommodations there. That the workers, the CPO office workers, don't want to leave those accommodations, but you have a minister of government who's attempting to frustrate the renewal of the lease for the Barataria building so that the government could rent number 3 Alexandra Street. Only to contact the CPO's office and to be told, we have no office in Barataria. We never had an office in Barataria. The CPO's office has no employees working in Barataria. We never had any employees working in Barataria, and we have no idea what Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is talking about. So perhaps the CPO office in her head, the employees that work in there, happy. But the only office the CPO has is on St. Vincent Street. Yeah? And that is where it's always been. This is what I was told. This is what Google was told. We called the CPO's office on air so that the population could hear for themselves, to the point where the woman became frustrated. Why all these people keep calling us to ask us this? How many times will we tell you all, we have no office in Barataria. We never had an office in Barataria. We have no employees working in Barataria. What are you talking about? Yeah, but Mrs. Prasad Bisesa say, well, whatever she say, I don't know where she get that from. This is the CPO's office. It is not true. Several instances of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa lying to the public. Every Monday night, she keeps coming and talking about Rowley's a liar, inheritance tax, property tax. Rowley say he wasn't bringing property tax, but he bring it. Rowley said that he wasn't shutting down Petrotrin, and in case you was in your fridge and you knew we are not closing down Petrotrin. This is the same woman who in 2009, 2010 was a leading proponent of Axe the Tax, no property tax. They won the election on the back of no property tax. That was one of the main issues. But in 2014, her Minister of Finance, the man who they paid $11 million to leave his work, to come and be a Minister of Finance, unheard of in this country before. No other Prime Minister ever had to pay someone millions of dollars to become a minister. But she had to break that mold. Yes, she had to break that mold. He, in his budget speech, with her sitting right next to him, announced that property tax, starting from 2014 to 2017, they will be rolling it out. Agriculture, commercial, residential, industrial, property tax. This is the same person who in 2010 told you, we put me in office and I will repeal the Property Tax Act that was passed in early 2010. For 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, she was the Prime Minister of this country. Made no effort to repeal the Property Tax Act. Kept it because she knew that she was going to use it. The same man who they paid millions of dollars for is on record as having said, the two things that the government needs to do to improve its revenue position is property tax and to reduce the subsidies on fuel. Hence the reason he increased the price of premium from $4 to $5.75 in one shot. And the other fuels were in line for a similar adjustment. They just didn't get around it yet. Second term. So we will hold off until the second term. And if we get a second 5 years, that second 5 years would be enough for us to teeth and finish the job that we started in term 1. So even if, because of these decisions, we get voted out after term 2, it's okay. We good. We set. But the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago had a different idea in mind. And so when today I hear people talking about Rowley must go, and I listen to some people talking about Kamala is the best thing and life was better under Kamala. So why did you all vote Mrs. Prasad Bisesa out? Why? If her policies were so great and she was doing all these great things, why was she voted out after just 1 term? Holding the record for having fired the most amount of ministers in this country's history, the largest cabinet in this country's history. So her cabinet, of all the cabinets this country has ever had, from Eric Williams to come forward, would have cost the Treasury the most amount of money. 33 ministers. 33. And she's promising you, put me back in office in 2025, and I will give you another large cabinet. New ministries: Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Ministry of Defense. 4 ministries to treat with crime. But that is not enough, so we need to bring stand your ground laws. Yeah? We need to bring stand your ground laws. And the stand your ground will do what? It allows you the right. Well, first of all, we will make it easier for you to get guns, because stand your ground ain't gonna make no sense if all you have to defend yourself is a cutlass or a 2x4. So you need to have a gun to really stand your ground. And people need to focus on those 3 words: stand your ground, which basically says, even if you find yourself in a situation where the threat level is low and you could walk away, even if it is that it is a situation that could be de-escalated without the use of a firearm, you don't have to take that option. You could stand your ground till the situation reaches a boiling point and you feel warranted to pull out your gun and shoot the other person. Right? That's what it means. So whereas now, people will try to avoid, the whole bacchanal and thing, the fight. Well, you might have a little fight and stuff. But now you are bringing law, or you're proposing to bring law to give people the right to stand up, pull out a gun, and shoot. And that making sense to Mrs. Prasad Visesa, right? Because you give out gun and all you require is to be a citizen of good standing, you don't have a criminal record, and you could get a clean certificate of character. That's it. Now, I spoke to you on Sunday before about the challenges that the police service will face having to assess all of these applications, right? Because the minute, if they win, and the minute they bring this law, rest assured the next day, it wouldn't have enough paper in the printry, the government printry in Caroni. The line will be long to the main road, with people lining up to get forms, yeah, to go and get gun. For what? To stand your ground? Right. So let us not do things. And note this point, they're not talking about how they could improve the police service. We're not talking about how we could improve crime detection. We're not talking about how we could improve the responsiveness of the police to criminal activity. We're not talking about what we could do to reduce the incidence of crime, right? So let's do an assessment and what are the main drivers of crime and what could we do to impact some of these drivers so that the persons who are inclined to criminal activity would move to something else. No, let's not focus on that. Let us focus only on the crime will continue. So let us give these citizens a fighting chance. That's there too, right? Let's give all of these citizens a fighting chance when crime comes knocking on their door. Right? Yeah. So let the citizens do the police work. And then you have former police officers now speaking on UNC platforms, telling people, I ain't telling you what to do, but when they come in your house, deal with them and just know what to say. Know what is your defense so you wouldn't get charged. Okay, so feel free to kill, but just make sure that your excuse for killing is sufficient for the police to say, well, all right, that was self-defense, no problem. Case closed. That is their solution to crime. UNC style. Aided and abetted by a former commissioner who proposes, just like them, to give away gun like if it's candy. Former commissioner is promoting that, right? And I'm told by persons who currently work in the police service that was one of the worst commissioners they've ever worked under. The man had no respect. He was Very, very disrespectful. Talking down to senior officers like if they were little children. This was some of the problems that they had in the service. It seems that his ego is not just for Keith Rowley, but just about anybody who challenges him. Because from where he sits, he has the answers to everything. He knows how to solve every single problem. Any solution that he proffers is the best. Don't question him. What I say goes, right? I went to Sandhurst and I went to this and I went here and I went there, and therefore, right, I know what I'm talking about. So don't question me. How you could be doing that? First of all, you did not come up the ranks of the service. So you didn't earn your stripes as most other commissioners would have done. Yeah? So this you was an interloper, an outsider, that the government put in there. They had confidence in you because you could talking about broken windows theory and all of these different things. The man sound like you know what you're doing. Yeah. Then they came in there, and you want to be disrespecting people who have worked their entire life, working life that is, in the service. Persons who for years would have put their lives on the line as police officers. You just come, you know reach, and you know better than us. You want to say that you know better than us, and you want to be talking on to us and as if you, but then you talk about under me, confidence in the police service rose from 14% when I came into 51. But I was reading an article yesterday where at the time he demitted office, he said it went from 14 to 35. Now it's 14 to 51. Just like the money that he said Dr. Rowley gave him went from 35 million to 45 million. Every time this man had to quote figures, he had interest on it for everything. Everything. Yeah? Number of how the percentage that crime went down by under him over how many years and all of these different things. Really, sir? But we have this unholy alliance now, right? And they boasted. Every time an alliance is formed, the PNM loses the election. Talking about 1986, and then 1995, 2010. So let's form another one. And we have been telling you all about this long before, that this is what was coming. But to me, that is an indictment on the leadership of the UNC. The fact that Kamla Persad-Bissessar has never been able to win an election without a coalition, and she realizes that. And now she's coming again with another coalition. So they have NTA and the UNC. And depending on how things go on August 14th, if that unholy alliance bears fruit, obviously more parties will now gravitate towards that. So repeat, the People's Partnership. So People's Partnership now People's Partnership on steroids is what we can expect in 2025. And so they're gearing up for that. Make no mistake, all of the other parties now who gone shy to jump in the alliance because maybe we can see us. If it work for the local, well, we know, yeah, thing looking good for the general. So we'll wait and decide. Right now, we'll criticize them. But if it is they win on the 14th, yeah, well, but everybody now looking to gravitate towards that. And I have to ask PNM people, if you all are going to allow that to happen. We know the PNM has the numbers to win the local election. We know that. We did it in 2013 overwhelmingly. I'm calling on those persons again to ask yourselves, why did you make that decision in 2013? Remind yourselves of what would have happened between 2010 to 2013 in that 3-year span, where in 2010 they were able to win 11 or 14 corporations. And then just 3 years later, right, they went from 11 to, was it what, 5? In just 3 years? Remind yourself of everything that happened between 2010 to 2013 that caused you all to go out in your numbers and flip it. Remind yourselves of what would have happened between 2010 to 2015 that would have caused persons to go out and vote overwhelmingly in 2015 to get rid of the People's Partnership. It boggles my mind how people could still be considering putting back that party. So you have now the labor unions, Roger, I ain't telling all you who to vote for, but I'm telling all you who not to vote for. Don't vote for Rowley and the PNM. But I don't want to come out and say, vote for the UNC. You have a whole political party born out of the labor unions, right? Born out of the labor movement, the MSG. But I am not seeing or hearing Roger promoting the MSG. Why? This is an opportunity for labor to take the reins of government. And you all couldn't even put up a full slate. All you had a whole march on Labor Day. You come to talk a set of nonsense. Nothing of substance. But you are telling me that you all could not get 141 persons from among your ranks who are willing to contest on behalf of the MSG? Why? You're vexed. You're still vexed with Rowley because you ain't get the refinery. Because you come with a dotish plan. On 2 occasions, in the first instance, when the government said, when we shut down the refinery, not Petrotrin, the refinery, government told you, we will give first preference. We are open to buyers for the refinery and we will give first preference to the trade union movement. Roger said, we ain't interested. Thanks, but no thanks. He had a change of heart because I guess his colleagues probably spoke to him and said, boy, it is a good opportunity, Here it is an opportunity for the labor movement to own a major asset in this country. And he changed his mind. Come back and say, okay, we're willing to consider. They developed, remember they say, see, that's our problem, memory short. They developed a proposal to purchase the refinery, not Petrotrin, the refinery. And again, I have to stress this. Petrotrin was not only the refinery. The refinery was just one aspect of what Petrotrin does. And as I'm on that point, before I forget it, one of the boards that I sit on, a senior member of Heritage, sits on that board. Very, very senior person. And we had a meeting last night and he was saying, of all these CEOs that he has worked under, in just the few days that Mr. Keskula, the new CEO, has been on the job, this is a man who knows what he's about. Because he said, I've been accustomed to dealing with all of the other CEOs, again, because there's a very senior person. He's on the executive. And he said the kind of questions that Mr. Keskula is asking with respect to Paria, Heritage, and all of these different things, his mind is blown. He's saying, this man asking me questions that no other CEO has ever asked me, some tough questions. And I like that. I like where his mind is. I like where he wants to take this company. I see that under this man, Heritage could make waves. This is what he was saying last night, right? He's worked under several CEOs, and this is the most impressive. And Mr. Keskula has only been on the job about a couple of weeks, and already he has hit the ground running and is prepared to do what is required, and he has the skill set, it would appear, to take Heritage to higher heights. But the only thing the UNC could see with Mr. Keskula is the color of his skin. They want to know, you had to go and hire a white man from outside if you couldn't find any locals here. No, you couldn't find no dark-skinned people, no black people in Trinidad. This is Anil Roberts. Couldn't find no black people in Trinidad to give the work to. But you bring a white man from outside to pay him $180,000 a month. But just based on that conversation last night, clearly Mr. Keskula is worth the $180,000 a month and more after only a couple of weeks on the job. Right? He's bringing his international experience. And the folks at Heritage are impressed with him so far. So we can expect good things coming from Mr. Keskula. We're not seeing Mr. Keskula, the color of his skin. It matters not. What we want is what is in his head. But the UNC's position is, you should hire a black person from Trinidad and get them the work. But what this gentleman is telling us last night, yeah, we tried that many times. I'm not impressed. And he has been there for a while. He has been there for a while. Right? So he's in a position to tell you. And if he says so, trust me. So we can look forward to good things from Heritage. Not a CEO who go in and come and sit down in a press conference with the Prime Minister with half-quarter oil and say, look, We've had a major fine, 48 million barrels in the first instance. Sweet crude. I could drink it. And that was the first and last we hear about that 48 million barrels. That was the first and last we heard about that sweet crude. Nothing after that. Even in the days when Petrotrin was going down in 2014, 2015, when he was telling us about the things they had to cut throughput by 33% in an attempt to keep the company from closing down. Yes, Khaled Hassan Ali said that. In an attempt to keep the company from closing down. So the only reason why you would engage in activities to try and avoid and keep the company from closing down is because the company was facing the specter of closing down. And so you had to come up with a strategy. What can we do to prevent Petrotrin, to prevent the refinery from going out of business? So they cut throughput by 33.3% because the company was facing the specter of going out of business. There is no other reason why you'll be attempting to prevent the company from going out of business unless that is the situation. But the UNC wouldn't talk about that. This is why Kevin Ramnarine, in his speech in the Senate in 2014, made the point in his speech where he did research on the number of refineries that had closed in the previous 5 years, some 60 refineries around the world, and made the point that Petrotrin and Trinidad and Tobago is not immune from closure unless serious action was taken, one of which was to improve production levels. Petrotrin needed to find more oil. But in an attempt to prevent the company from going out of business, the refinery, they had to cut back on drilling. In his interview with the Oil and Gas Journal, Khaled Hassan Ali indicated that they're cutting back on the exploration and drilling activities. So how could you find more oil if you're shutting down activities to find more oil? All because the refinery was facing the specter of closure. But you know what it did? It's 2015, we have the election in a few months. See how far down the road we could kick the can now. And if we win, afterwards, we're going to deal with it. We just want a second 5-year term to finish what we started in the first 5. So by the time the second term ends, our pockets are sufficiently filled. So if we lose the election in 2020, a small thing, we set for life, we could retire. Yeah? But I was making the point before with Roger and the refinery, that when they came with their first proposal, right, after they changed their mind, he had a change of heart. You all may recall. The first proposal they had was to purchase the refinery and the refinery alone. And they were making the rounds, going to different entities with their proposal to discuss with them. And one of the entities they approached was the UNC to share their plans. And they met with a team at the UNC led by Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and she was accompanied by the likes of, if memory serves me correctly, Rudi Indar Singh, Munilal, and some others. When the OWTU left that meeting, they left with a mandate, not only to attempt to purchase or to bid for the refinery. Kamla and her team tell them, go brave or go home. Bid for the whole hog. Why you only want the refinery alone? Right? I think you all would do a very good job, an excellent job of running the entire company. So you all should bid for the refinery and the non-core assets as well. That wasn't the OWTU's original plan. They got that from Kamla and the UNC team when they met them. Out of all the people that they met, that was the only entity that told them, bid for the whole company. Yeah? Why? Because they realized the government did not offer the entire company for sale, only the refinery. So they set up Roger, chain him up, yeah, knowing full well that, or in their mind, if he make a bid for the entire refinery or the entire company, the government would reject it. The government would say, well, again, all that money from? We just offering the refinery for say, well, they want to buy everything. Nah, man. Well, they're not serious. And that would have scuttled the bid. But Roger take that bid, and they went and redid their proposal and came back with a bid for the entire company. Right? You all remember? The entire company. When the decision was made by the government to give Roger and the refinery, the government said, we will work with you. Yes, you have come and you have offered, you have brought us a bid here. But we don't want to put you in a position where you have to go and find all of this money. And then when you purchase the refinery and you start your operations, you are saddled with debt. that could jeopardize the country. And we're talking here about fuel security. Because once you all get the refinery back up and running, at no expense to the state, that we would look to the refinery, because if we have the fuel there that we need, we will look to you all to provide the country, and by extension our regional partners, with the fuel. Right? That's what the government said. So you all are offering to pay us all of this money up front here. What? We want to give you something better to make it easier for you. We will give you a 3-year moratorium. So we give you the refinery, or they run all your business, but for the first 3 years, you have to pay no money. Get the refinery up and running, start make your money, and then you could pay us over a 10-year period from the earnings of the refinery. So you don't have to run now and get all of this set of money, but you just need to pay a certain something up front. Right? Okay. That didn't happen. Government said the non-core assets are not up for sale. We never offered you all that. Relax. It's the refinery and refinery alone. But as soon as the announcement was made in the parliament that the government had decided to give the refinery to the OWTU, the first people to jump out and complain was the UNC. With the whole 10 questions, the list of 10 questions as to what was the basis on which the government decided to give the OWTU and where the OWTU went and get his money out. After you all sit down in a room with the people for hours and tell them bid for the whole hog, the entire company, as soon as they get through with the refinery alone, you come now to complain and you object to that? Y'all understand subterfuge? Dishonesty? You see? Disingenuous. So that when they sat around the table with Roger and he and Ozzy Warwick and the rest of them, and laugh at them, oh, yes, this is an excellent plan. Yes. You should, but don't stop here. The refinery alone, based on what we're seeing here, you all have the wherewithal to run the entire company, man. I really think you all should bid for the whole company. Yes, we will support you. Go ahead. Right after, as soon as the minister make the announcement, they're going to call a press conference, same day, to challenge it. So clearly, when they sat down with the OWTU and made that recommendation, they weren't serious. They pull a fast one on the OWTU and it backfired on them. Right? But today, Roger wants to tell you, I ain't going to tell all you who to vote for, but I will tell all you who not to vote for. That making sense to him. Why don't tell them vote for the MSJ? So you don't even want to tell them vote for the MSJ? A party that was born out of the labor movement? You don't want to tell them a party of which you're supposed to be a member? You ain't going to tell them vote for the MSJ, but you will tell them don't vote for the PNM. That making sense to him. So again, everybody has their eyes set on August 14th to see what the outcome of the election will be. And then they will decide the next chess move. So right now the chessboard is set. Right? And they're just waiting to see what's going to happen on the 14th. And then all of a sudden, moves start to make. Right? Pieces start to move, to fall in place. Because as Mrs. Posabi-Sessa said last night, step 1 is August 14th. Send a message to Rowley and send a message to the PNM. And once we win on August 14th, then step 2 comes into play. General election 2025. Because all PNM going to be hearing for the next 2 years is how they put a cocktail on the PNM. And Rowley must go. These people are so disrespectful. They got a letter from TAT, right? Well, Jagrati got a letter from TAT because Padarat called the Prime Minister lazy SOB. That wasn't enough. You had Amit Suknanan, right? Calling people Jack and so on. Then you had last night Rudiendar Singh, a man that I hate to listen to. It was very difficult to listen to Rudiendar Singh last night. I mean, the way he speaks and how he draws out his words. It is frustrating. Trinidad and Tobago and Madam Prime Minister. Come on now, man. Oh gosh, Olia. Don't do that now. Don't do that now, please. I hate to hear this man talk. This drawl that he has, it's sickening. But he decided last night he wants to come and talk about the PNM know the cut that they go in and get. Yeah, that's the talk in the UNC thing. Oh, the PNM going to get a backside wash on August 14th. What happened in Tobago is a joke compared to what going to happen on August 14th. Really? What happened in Tobago? 14-1? Okay. How that work out for them? A year and a half later, how has the Tobago circumstance improved? Has it improved? Is it better today? Are Tobagonians living in the land of milk and honey in the last year and a half, as promised by the PDP? Now the Tobago People Party? Is that party even registered? Tobago has never had as much bacchanal and confusion and in their politics as they have had over the last 4 years or so since the PDP came into play. Tobago was always held in a higher standard, right? When compared to Trinidad. We always say Tobago people ain't gonna tolerate this and Tobago people wouldn't tolerate that and so on. They are held to a higher standard. The bacchanal that you hear and see in Trinidad, we don't see that in Tobago, especially when it comes to the politics. And in the last 4 to 5 years, that has changed significantly with the PDP and now the TPP. Seems every Monday morning is a bacchanal. Just as we had seen 2010 to 2015. Every other week, a minister getting fired. There's some scandal, something. You couldn't rest, always. Right? But how did that situation in Tobago help Tobagonians? So they clap, yeah, 14-1, we get rid of the PNM. Yeah, the PNM this, the PNM too disrespectful. I saw a video in the lead up to the THA election with this lady. The PNM too disrespectful. The PNM too disrespectful. Huh? They care about nobody and not kind of bacchanal. Me voting for no PNM and PNM is PDP and what's Duke. But the other night she on the news, she disappointed. This is not what she expected when she voted for the PDP. Yeah? And they had to do better. And they had to do better. And there's no why they expect from Fali. And I didn't expect that. I still supported Mr. Duke. When we were telling them that, all I wasn't listening. No, it's only jealous. PNM like bacchanal. Yeah, we ain't taking only on, not this wrongs. PNM had to go. PNM gone. How was that worked for you all? All of you all who were promised jobs. Will they get through? No. Bernie Jack Gregg, who was one of the loudest mouths promoting them. PDP. She never voted for PNM and she would never vote for PNM and PNM this and PNM that. From Eric Williams come forward. Every time Dr. Rowley have a press conference, she feel the need afterwards to do a live and give a running commentary on everything that he said. She's also a disciple of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. But the other day she do a live complaining her son have so much passes and they promise him a work. And up to now, more than a year later, he can't get a work yet. And the boy went and do a course in photography. And they come telling him they'll give him a work. Don't worry, next week they go call him. Up to now, they can't call him yet. And he say, I use my mouth to get him in office, I go use my mouth to get him out. A year and a half later. But people who don't have the passes your son have, who don't have the qualifications that your son have, they get work to be propagandists on social media. And your son with the photography course and he 8 and 10 passes, sit down home, helping you to make pie. No work for he. Yeah? No work for he. He's not a propagandist. But people who don't have the passes that he has and the qualifications that he has, them get work to sit down whole day and create propaganda, lies, and misinformation on social media. And getting paid well too, to use the Risha word, they must be paid handsomely. No small money. They must be paid handsomely. You know what I mean? Handsomely. So that they could run propaganda, or as they call it, a commerce campaign. Yes, we heard all of that in the second video clip recording. A propaganda campaign, and which Fali wanted to come into place sooner rather than later. Imagine you now win the election, You have 4 years under your belt, you now win. And before you look to see what is the state of play, to provide the people with the level of service that you promised them, you sit down in a whole meeting to strategize a propaganda campaign. or a commerce campaign, as they called it in the meeting. Yeah? A commerce campaign. About 2 or 3 months into your term. You don't want to stop campaigning because you're right now, people like the minority leader saying things, but nobody really listening to him. Right? They didn't really taking him on. But I don't want that I wake up 2 or 3 years down the road and he finds something or he's saying something that resonating with the people and we're in problems. So let us continue to campaign. So we will campaign for 4 years. For the whole 4 years, we continue to campaign to ensure that the PNM don't get a foothold back into the system. So you're using public money, people who working hard, and at the end of the month when they look at the pay slip and they see money come out for PAYE and they griping, and over 2 point something, almost $3 billion of that comes to Tobago to do the people's business, and you could find money to campaign. You're spending public money, audit after audit after audit, to find what? They tell us about it, just like the People's Partnership, you know. You ride into office on the back of Zipline. Tell us that the Auditor General report say this and say that about the Zipline. No Auditor General report says anything about any Zipline. None. I have gone through every Auditor General's report from 2010 come forward. None. It was never in there. It was a management letter that was issued by the Auditor General, making inquiries, asking questions, and requesting further information on the Zipline. And whatever information would have been supplied or provided was satisfactory to the Auditor General, such that the issue of the Zipline did not find its way into the report. So anytime something finds its way into the report is because the Auditor General was not satisfied with the reasons given on the issues raised, and they put it in the report. So when the report is laid in Parliament, the parliamentarians could look into it and further inquire. Right? It was never there. And when it is the Auditor General wanted to run to Tobago to clear up that, well, Watson said, "What you coming up here for? Stay in Trinidad, we're coming here for. I'll make your life a living hell." All of that. You remember that? And that is what they vote for. But Rowley's a region bull. And Rowley's a, anyway. Yeah. All that they say. And all you vote for that. Now workers not getting the salaries on time is all kind of excuse. Never had you weren't experiencing that before. Even though your pay might have been small, you were still getting it on time. But you ain't getting it now. Every month. Especially in the division of health. So when they send people every morning now sending text messages to the secretary, Faith B. Israel, complaining about, well, pay ain't reach yet. And all she could say is, "Okay, thank you, have a good day." Have a good day. There was something I found here. Where is it? Just now, as we on the issue of Auditor General's report. People, I want to encourage you all really take the time and read the Auditor General's report, right? Let me give you all an example of something that was in the Auditor General's report, I believe, in 2015. Under the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure, this is under the People's Partnership, right? Neither contracts nor memoranda of understanding were produced to support payments totaling $676,506,620.93 made to 2 executing agencies under the following projects: road construction, major road rehabilitation, dualling of the Diego Martin Highway, Port of Spain East-West Corridor Transportation Project. As a result, the terms and conditions of execution could not be ascertained. $676 million allocated to 2 executing agencies, and the Auditor General could find neither contracts nor memoranda of understanding for $676 million. How is that possible? How? This is not 676,000, not $676, not 67,600, $676 million. And the Auditor General come to audit and can't find a single contract, not one. No contract, no memoranda of understanding, but $676 million spent under them. You see why it was easy to thief? You understand why it was easy to thief? You'll understand why it was easy when this administration came in 2015 that they found the contract mill. So don't assume no official contract. Only just share out money. And if we lost, we will create contracts then, backdate it, yeah, with whatever figures that we want, and give it to the contractors so that they could come now and claim, well, this is so much money. So any order that takes place, I'll look the contract here, right? But in the meantime, here now, we have some road to pave the way. How much you want? 200 million? All right, no problem. What's it cut? 10%? All right. Yeah, you don't worry. You start the work. We'll make sure you get the money, and the contract will come after. $676 million worth of contracts. Well, not contracts, of work, and no contract, no memorandum of understanding. None. But that wasn't a topic of discussion. But you know what was? He's applying $2 million. Tricky Tracy, thief the money. But things like this, no discussion, no mention of that. No call on Kamala Persad to explain that. The media, Urvashi Tiwari, all over the place now, she griping and complaining. Well, first, they remove her from OCM, the Friday morning show on TV6. So she griping about that, right? Because she put it out there on Facebook, knowing full well that the assumption that the other party would make is that the Prime Minister and the government had a hand in that, because she bad talked the Minister of National Security and they get rid of her. Her latest rant now is that Julian Rogers was selected to do some media coverage for the activities that are taking place in Port of Spain now for the 50th anniversary of Caracol. And he was required to set up his team. And apparently the team comprises only persons of African descent. So Urvashi have a problem with that. Yeah? That she want to know if it is that that Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean represents it's a multi-ethnic region, different races. And if it is that Julian Rogers couldn't find persons of other races. And we know what she want to say, to be a part of his team. Every little thing, these people just put on their monoculars and they're, let me see how much Indian it are there. Let me see how much African it have there. Right. So it have 8 people on the team, only 1 East Indian, 7 African. All right, let me go and make a bacchanal. Okay, let's see what's going on there. The Ministry of Social Development, they put together a team of 38 people to deal with grants and so on. Let me see how much East Indian it are there. I ain't seeing none, boy. She look like a Douglas. Let me check again, eh? No. She here just straight, like TCB. Yeah. I get full up there. Right. I'm going to go and make a bacchanal. That's what they're good for. But the PNM is only about race baiting. And Rowley is about race baiting. And they always pull in the race card. Yeah, they wasn't expecting the PNM to start the race baiting so soon. That's what them say on the platform. Which is really staying up the race. Who have a problem with the race of the CEO of Heritage? Who did a whole live on that? But in the PNM didn't do that, right? Who is making an issue about these little things? How much people the Ministry of Social Development chose and what is their race? That's this stupidness. Check it and you will see they are the ones who really pushing that whole race thing. They are the ones. PNM not on that. Is Anil Roberts complaining? First of all, the PNM is supposed to be a black man party. The PNM is an African party. But he finds that the racial complexion of the cabinet does not reflect that. You have too many non-Africans in holding high position in the cabinet of Keith Rowley. But Rowley is a racist. How the hell is he a racist? If he was a racist, the whole cabinet is supposed to be of African descent. But you find, and you make up the list now. Well, Rishi Sukai is not an African, and Paris is not an African, and Terence Dayal Singh is not an African, and the Minister of, Stuart Young is not an African, and Coleman Burt is not an African. You sit down and put out all of that to highlight, but the PNM pulling the race card. So you're trying to stir up now to tell persons of African descent. The PNM not taking care of you. The PNM supposed to be an African party and supposed to look after the Africans. But look who they given the plum positions. Look who Rowley given the plum positions in the parliament, in the cabinet. Non-Africans. So African people, all you must get vexed and vote out Rowley. Send a message to Rowley that all you're not tolerating that he need to put more Africans in the cabinet. He needs to be a little more racist. He's not racist enough in the makeup of his cabinet. Yeah? Who pushing that? Anil Roberts. The most disgusting thing ever to pass through the parliament of this country and the lower and upper house. This man should not be anywhere near the parliament. Nowhere near the parliament. In fact, he's supposed to be resting in, well, not in peace for all the nastiness that he did. He's supposed to be in the political cemetery under 40 feet of cement. But leave it up to Kamla Persad-Bissessar to go and get a jackhammer and dig up that cement. Yeah? Political necromancy. She go in the political cemetery and exhume that body. And like Dr. Frankenstein's sister, yeah? She give life to that. She resurrect that and put him on the citizenry, foist him on the citizenry of this country. Every time I see this man come up on my feed, Douglas politics, Douglas liar politics, or doubles and coffee, he sickens me. Nothing of substance. This man is a senator, but these days now you think, oh, Rowley, he's a big stink, dirty man. In his house, you had to go down a corridor, and you pass 3 dogs, and then you pass a parrot, and then you go down some stairs in a basement or whatever it is, and you see a red couch, and Dr. Rowley is a woman lie down and thing, and you had to come and you had to lie down on top of you to get position and all this kind of stupidness. This man fails to realize that when you post this nastiness, that you have children seeing these things. How the hell you expect them to have respect for the leaders in the country when people like you, who's supposed to be a leader? That is the nastiness that you promoted, and your leader clapping you like a circus seal. Ooh. Yes, Anil. Yeah, Anil. Give them Anil. But Dr. Rowley make mention where he, in an innocent way, talked about, liking women to a golf course and grooming, and so you had to take care of your woman and these kind of things and so on. Meant nothing. He didn't mean anything by it in any malicious way. But leave it up to these sick, twisted, dirty minds to put some sort of negative connotation to it, right? But you have this clown talking this nastiness every time. Bundles and Foster Cummins was with Dr. Rowley was with Nian Gatsby-Dolly, and now she with Foster Cummins, and Dr. Rowley get on because Nian gone with all of this kind of nastiness. All this nastiness, and Dr. Rowley sleep with every female member of the cabinet, and that is how they get position. This is not the UNC, sir. You're confused. Where is the missing page from the visitors log at the Prime Minister's residence that we were told about by the former driver of Glenn Ramadas Singh? Where is it? The page that highlighted certain persons who are alleged to have visited Mrs. Persad-Bissessar one night or a few nights. Man who used to be hiding in the back of the back seat of the Prado to get in, right? When it is claimed that Ramadas Singh said, yeah, she liquored up, fix up. Did she ever sue for that? I just asking the question. Did she? I don't recall she did. Where that page? But you wouldn't talk about that. Why don't talk about Glenn Ramadas Singh and Patricia Singh? Miss Singh, who was living with her mother and her young daughter, and who went to the minister allegedly for help to get a house, an HDC house, and any other assistance that he could render to her mother, and her young daughter. And it is alleged, the allegation was that on at least 2 occasions, Mr. Ramadas Singh would have attempted to have her perform oral sex on him to get the HDC house. That he would have fondled her, till I come inside, close the door. And it was only because someone came and interrupted that it didn't go further. Why don't talk about that? Why don't talk about that? That whole sordid detail. I don't have the time this morning to read it, but I'll probably read it on another day. The things that this woman is alleged to have gone through just to get an HDC house. That's the kind of nastiness that was taking place under them. And again, I have to remind the people, because I'm talking to people on a daily basis, and people who are promoting this thing about Rowley must go, and Rowley must go, and the PNM wicked. How is the PNM wicked? You want the PNM to spend the kind of money that Kamla spent? Dr. Rowley could do that. He could be fiscally irresponsible and spend that kind of money. But understand that there will be consequences later on down the road, as we are paying such consequences today for the fiscal irresponsibility of the People's Partnership. That where they would have taken the exchequer account from 10 billion in overdraft to 23, take it up from 10 to 33, an increase of $23 billion, which we today are paying billions of dollars in interest that could be spent on other things, that could have been used to pave road. There is a road paving exercise taking place now, but as is typical response from UNC supporters, yeah, election gimmick. There's no one election in the air. All of a sudden, they're paving road. Whole year. All you ever stop complaining about the condition of the road? Every day, complaining about how much money you're spending on shock and your suspension and all of this, and real money you have to be spending to fix your car. The government come now to pave the road, right? Trinidad had the worst roads in the whole world and all of that. As half all you who complain about Trinidad had the worst roads in the world, don't even have a passport. What the hell all you know about the rest of the world? Eh? Some all the only time you ever went on a damn plane was in Coney Island, but talking about the rest of the world. But you know about the rest of the world. But you see on NCIS and Law and Order, SVU, and only figure that is the whole world? Really? And for those of us who would have traveled and seen, and we have persons on here who live in the US and Canada and the UK who could tell you, right? Go on University Drive in Fort Lauderdale and you will see the great US of A, where they have property tax and inheritance tax and state debt tax and all these different taxes. Go and you will see the road perfect. Potholes. When I last traveled last year in November, and I went there, I took out my phone. I said, but wait now, like Wassa have a branch here? Big potholes in the road. From Sample Road, go back to Wiles Road. That whole stretch, right? From Sample Road to Wiles Road. Big potholes. You had to be dodging pothole in the great US of A. Yeah? Florida. But Trinidad had the worst roads in the whole world. A whole year. Wiles Road. They're fixing, patching something. And a whole year. Imagine I travel, come back, and they haven't fixed that yet. They have up the cones around it, and I said, but wait. But I thought these things are supposed to be done expeditiously in the great US of A. You see, because that is what some of us, or some of you all have been cultured to believe, that everything perfect over there. Yeah? Everything is perfect over there. Like Merle is saying, come Brooklyn. Yeah. Come Brooklyn. And you see, that's what Merle is telling us. So it's not just Trinidad. As I said, when I went to Jamaica a few weeks ago, talking to Jamaicans who were complaining, bad roads. Jamaica is considered to be the land of wood and water, but they're not getting water in the taps. Jamaicans complaining about that. The Bajans complaining about the big potholes in Christchurch. I've never been to Barbados, so this is not me telling you that. This is the Bajans who live there telling me this. They're telling me that. So this impression you'd like to give as if, even in Guyana, where they have all the oil, and OPEC now courting Guyana, come and join OPEC. We never got that opportunity because we never had the kind of oil and gas that Guyana has. Bad road in Guyana too. Junior Sammy gone across there, making waves in Guyana. Plenty money, plenty road to pave, and money to pave it. They have the money. We don't. You all didn't want him to borrow the $1 billion to pay the road. All they complaining about you increase the debt to GDP ratio of all they don't even know what GDP means. Yeah? But last night on the platform, the economy is in shambles. Rowley and the PNM destroyed the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, and how many jobs was lost. Every time, every speaker give you a different figure. They can't come to a consensus on how many jobs were lost. But just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Prasad Bisasa reading from the CSO statistics, she said 70,000. That you see at 77,000, right? So one Monday you come, and this is their statistics. Yes, I'm reading it out here. 77,000 people have lost their jobs. And then you come the next week, 150,000 jobs have been lost. 200,000 jobs have been lost. Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle now. Please. Help us. They can't get their fact straight. She can't get her fact straight. Gary can't get his fact straight. But they come together. Perfect union. Yeah? So all you can expect for the next 6 weeks or so is a diet of lies and more lies coming from both platforms. Well, I haven't seen the NTA host any meetings yet. It seems the only person who's talking for them right now is the leader, when it is that he decides to do a little video to cuss out Rowley. That's all. Rowley. Nothing about local government, nothing about what you can expect, what quality of service you can expect from them. It's just Rowley. Rowley living free in plenty of them head, you know. Plenty of them head. But Rowley's a liar. Rowley must go. All right. When Rowley goes, fine, no problem. Somebody else is going to come. So I just want Rowley to go, and then what? You'll vote for the PNM if Rowley goes? Because Rowley's the worst thing ever. But you have a political leader who lies night after night, every Monday night, continues to lie on the simplest of things. She's shown to be a liar. Nutrimix, just yesterday, as I read at the start, has shown her to be a liar. Right? The price didn't go up. It came down. You think her supporters now will call her out on that? You think the media will call her out on that? And we know they listen, but they're selective in what they take from the Monday night forum to come and put on the evening news. But they wouldn't highlight that fact. They wouldn't call up Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar to say, well, in light of this latest press release from Nutrimix indicating the immediate reduction in the cost of flour, what have you to say on that, given the fact that last week you indicated the government had increased the price of flour by 33%? You think they will ask her for a comment on that? No comment. Even though most of the time she don't answer her phone anyway, or she don't respond to WhatsApp messages unless it's to make a negative comment about Rowley. If we had good journalists in this country, they would have nailed her backside to the cross since last week. Or at least, all right, worst case, yesterday or today. So I'll wait to see if anybody's going to ask. But I know they're not going to, because for them, that's their $1,000 voucher at risk. Yeah, and they don't want to do anything that could give the PNM a fillip on August 14th. But those of us who have a platform, we will raise it. We will raise it here and everywhere else. That she cannot be trusted. Mr. Manning says, show me a liar and I'll show you a thief. They love to say, Manning warned we about Rowley. Manning warned we about Rowley. I know we see it come to pass. He warned earlier about Kamala too. The Kamala Prasad-Bissessar of today that is asking you to make her prime minister is just not ready, my dear friends. She lacks the political skill, lacks the political experience, lacks the political training, lacks the political acumen, and would be a disaster if she were to become Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Manning said that. But Ole didn't take him on. He won Ole didn't take him on. So all Ole who voted for her in 2010, is you're somehow Ole responsible for her still being there, you know. For her still being there. But you talk about the guys, licks. We heard them last night. There's licks for the PNM. They cut us book. Yeah. Why? Because you have PNM people saying, me ain't voting, no? Nah, me ain't voting. Well, don't vote. All you tote. Don't vote. Tote. She's saying, don't tote, vote. But somebody want to tote and ain't voting. Well, go ahead. Go right ahead. And when it is that you're not getting the service that you want because your vote could have been critical and pivotal towards the PNM person winning. Yeah? And you end up with a UNC council who more crooked than Ms. Howard Cat. Don't complain. When you have problems and you go by the UNC councillor that you let win because you didn't go and vote and they ain't taking you on because they know you have PNM, hush your mouth. You wanted to tote. Yeah? So fix your problems with your tote. Yeah. You tote that on your back. Some of the nonsense people sending me, people who I know to be supporters of the PNM. Every time you keep sending me nonsense. Every bloody time. Yeah? Nonsense. Yeah. But you vex. People, again, I stress the point. You need to go out and cast your ballot on August 14th. How many other persons? Some of you all in your house, you have children who will be turning 18. If they have the ID card, well, I don't know, I think the time may have passed for you to register. Right? But if it is that they could vote, make sure they go out and vote. First thing, as you get up in the morning, you say your prayers, you brush your teeth, head to the polls and ram your finger in up to your elbow. And if it can reach your shoulder too, do that too. And you know where to put the X. By the Balize. Nowhere else. That is where it is that you have to put it. To ensure that the PNM councils, because it's a psychological thing. You could imagine having to hear for the next 2 years, the PNM get a tail cut, they get a backside wash constantly. For the next 2 years, you know the psychological damage that could have. Everywhere you go, you be hearing that nonsense. Come now, man. We better than that. PNM has the numbers. The ground game is critical. They need to bring out your supporters on August 14th to cast the ballot. Right? Otherwise, that is the only way. Only way. The UNC must not get any headway. They don't make no track for Guti to run. Right? No inroads, no nothing. That is what they're looking for. And they've offered you a slate of candidates that for the most part, is a waste of time. That they could screen a man who was found later on with a gun, an illegal firearm in a bar. And if it is he had been successful, had he not been caught that night, he was the front runner. He was the leading person that the UNC Tunapuna executive was behind because of his popularity in the area, right? And had he not been caught that night, there's a real possibility that he would have been the selected candidate. And imagine if he had won, if he were to win that seat. You would have had a counselor who is a criminal. So he sit down there listening to your problems, and he have an illegal gun in his waist. Yeah? He's scoping you out and thinking the next thing you know, you get robbed. And you even know it's because the counselor set you up. That is the caliber of people that they offer you. That's what they're offering. They have 2 local government practitioners now before the courthouse for soliciting bribes. And that's just the 2 that get caught. I'm sure it had others who was in all kind of racket. They get away. And they come and they bring in you back some of these same people again. For it to hear for at least the next 2 years, the government again me no money, and they starving the UNC corporations of funding. And that's all they're complaining. Nothing is going to get done. Right? Nothing will change. So you have the same poor service that you would have been getting before from them as the same poor service you will be getting for at least the next 2 years. And I keep saying the next 2 years in case someone will put God out to your collective thoughts and put these people back in 2025. A party of liars from the leader come down. All of them. Liars. Right? You could imagine Rudal Munilal again as a minister in this country. Rudal Munilal, whose practice it was every budget, every contribution he made to the budget is the Bossama. Come and tell everybody the Prime Minister have a joint bank account in Miami with the owner of AV Drilling and $500,000 wire transfer and all of that. He partner Gary as Commissioner of Police said that was nonsense. We investigated it. When we went abroad to investigate it, we were laughed at. The foreign police laugh at us and say, "Ole really come here with that? Ole waste all the time to jump on a plane to come here because a man sees something in your parliament." Laugh at them. Lies. This is the same man who held up a picture in the parliament and say this. He was informed that this is a picture of a certain room in a house in Pinal or in Debe owned by AV Drilling. You remember that picture? With Ansel Roger and some other folks, and the allegation that was being made by him was this was a meeting of these men with respect to the closure of Petrochin and whatnot. And then the next day, Roger had to call the media, come, let me show you where the office is, where this picture was taken. In the OWTU's office, in Paramount Building. Right? He hold up the picture which was on the front page of the news there. Look the picture there. Look the couch there. Look the filing cabinet there. And Rudal Munilal is no stranger to this office. He has been here before on a number of occasions. Right? Never apologize for that. Never apologize for that. When it is in the wake of the fake oil thing, Mr. Bash, who's the owner of AV Drilling, was interviewed by the Express newspaper, and he said a lot of stuff. One of which was that he knows Rudal Munilal very well, and Mr. Munilal has been to his home, and he knows the circumstances under which Mr. Munilal came to his home. Munilal, the next night, addressed that article. Everything in that article he talked about, except where Mr. Bash spoke about how he, Munilal, had come to his house on a number of occasions, and he knows these circumstances under which Munilal came to his home. He never talked about that. Like when he reached that part, all of a sudden the cataract and the glaucoma kicked in. So he didn't see that part, but he addressed everything else. And that is what Kamla Persad-Bissessar offers you as a future minister of this country. She wants to offer you Saddam Hussein, possibly as the next Attorney General, because they're all about setting records for him to say, well, he was the youngest Attorney General in this country's history. He too has shown that he has the propensity to be an inveterate liar. Yes, I say that. Saddam Hussein. They have trained them to be just as the current crop, just as bad. You can imagine having Anil Roberts back in the government of Trinidad and Tobago, for her to put him back in sport, for us to have another live sport part 2. Are we prepared for something like that? To go through the trauma of 2010, 2015 all over again? Minister get locked up for driving drunk. Monilal spend how much of your taxpayers' money to lease Range Rover for $20-something thousand a month and put strobe lights so that Natasha, your wife, could drive around the place in Range Rover at your expense? After it is that he took the exemption to buy fancy car, to buy what is his vehicle of choice, by the Jaguar F-Pace, yeah, to buy fancy car, and he bold-faced enough to come on national TV and say, yes, I took advantage of the exemptions on several occasions and I will continue to do it because it is my entitlement as a member of parliament. So I don't care if all your vex that I buy a $1 million vehicle and getting exemptions to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I am entitled to that as a member of parliament. That's all your business if all your vex. That's he, Monilal. But your taxpayer money when he was Minister of Housing, HTC leasing Range Rover for him to drive around and for Natasha to go to the grocery and to drop off the child in the nursery. Yeah? But the supporters are ready for that conversation. Yeah, but Rowley buy a Mercedes and for $2 million. Rowley didn't spend no $2 million for no Mercedes. That was the market value of the Mercedes. Right? But it cost less than $1 million. It was $800 and something thousand, as the case may be. How often you see Dr. Rowley using that vehicle? On special occasions. So you will see it for the Independence Day parade and any other thing that they may have. But otherwise to that, he don't use it. So if God forbid all they decide or they want to get rid of the PNM in 2025, no problem. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar is going to be getting a practically brand new vehicle to drive in. With no rum stains and no urine stains, no vomit stains on it. Clean, pristine. Right? Dr. Rowley probably used that a good 10 times since he has been in office. Or a good 15 times. If he uses that 2-3 times for the year, that's about it. It's there, maintained, in pristine condition. They say that he spent $3 million in paintings. Lies. It was $1.9 million to buy paintings for Jean-Michel Casabon. You know what those paintings probably worth today? Since it was purchased? I can tell you it's a hell of a lot more than 1.9 million, right? Because paintings every year go up in value. That is what so he knows about investment. So if they were to now put those paintings up for auction, we will get more than what we paid for it. But no appreciation for that. But the hypocrisy of the supporters is what's getting me upset, Down in C3, I think they put up, I saw the other day, they put up, there's a wall or so in C3 where they put up a replica of some of the paintings of Casabon. And when I read the comments, it's nice, we're so happy that C3 has done this, that we can have an appreciation for our local artists. If you hear them, right, praising that, they could just go and sit down all day and just look at it and admire it. But the real paintings, well, they have a problem with the government purchasing it, right, and bringing it back home because other people in other jurisdictions had an appreciation for it and wanted it. And we had to bid for it. We got it. It came back home. It was on display in the Prime Minister's residence. You weren't interested to go and see it there. Yeah, when it was in the National Museum, you weren't interested to go and see the real thing, but you will go down to C3 and sit down on the bench and rock back. It's nice, Look at that. It's real nice, Hypocrites. Hypocrites. And the hypocrites ready to vote for the party. And it's not about the candidate. It is not about service. It's not about nothing. It's all about sticking it to Rowley and the PNM. It's about giving them the upper hand for the next 2 years. So every time you hear a whole talk, somebody was telling me they were in a bar a couple of days ago, and one of the UNC's candidates was there, talking about when Kamala come back as Prime Minister, and they go get gun. Yeah, she will pass a law, and everybody will be able to get gun and all of that. That's at the top of their mind. You're a candidate. You sit down in a bar with a certain man. Yes, it's a female candidate. High like a kite. And talking about when Kamala come back, she got pass a law for everybody to get gun, and people will get gun under the table and all of that. You can't. Before you're supposed to be out working. You're supposed to be trying to impress upon these men why they should vote for you. And that's the only thing you could come up with. Sucking a rum bottle and talking that, and that is the caliber of person that they give to you as your candidate. I know the individual. When I went up for election, that was one of the candidates. I put a curtail on her, but anyway, I didn't win, but I certainly got a lot more votes than she did. Right? But that is what they offer you. What we doing? So when it is you hear PNM people talking nonsense about Rowley this and Rowley that, Prime Minister made the point 2 weeks ago, and I have to agree with him, the party is not doing enough to promote all that they have done. So every time I go on social media and I see, and a lot of them attacking the page now, a lot of them listening, they're joining the pages, they supporting the page, they're following the page. Some of them listening now to the live and asking, what Rowley do in the last 8 years with all the billions? We want to know. He ain't do nothing. He even, what kind of thing they say? Well, let me remind some of you all of what Rowley did, right? I always make the point to them. Keith Rowley bought 3 brand new ferries. KPT James, the Bucco Reef, and the Galleons Passage, right? And he had to refurbish one of the 2 ferries that we had that were running constantly between 2010 to 2015. And because the People's Partnership didn't have the foresight to lease another vessel, a passenger vessel, not a cargo vessel. And I always have to make that distinction. The Superfast Galicia was a cargo vessel, not a passenger vessel. It was a cargo vessel, right? To carry goods to Tobago, not people. The only passengers who would have been on the Superfast Galicia were the truck drivers who had to stay with their trucks. And we have to keep making that point to them. So they never leased a passenger vessel. So they only had the Spirit and the Express running between 2010 to 2015. And when the vessels were supposed to go on dry dock for service, they kept extending and extending because there were certain extensions allowed. They hardly ever sent the vessels for service. And as a result of that, when the PNM came in 2015, there were no more extensions to be had. The vessels had to go. The Maritime Authority refused to grant any further extensions. All had been used up by the People's Partnership, and therefore the boat vessels had to go to dry dock. And the government was in a mad scramble now to find passenger vessels, which at that point in time was not available. Because it's not like you could go on Amazon or go on a rental company and say we want to rent or lease a passenger vessel, right? They didn't have the foresight to do that when they were in office 2010 to 2015. And this administration had to deal with the problem when they came in. They take plenty licks for that. Oh, Rowley mashed up the Sea Bridge and thing and Tobago, all of that. 3 brand new vessels purchased. I think is the Spirit we still have that was refurbished. The Express couldn't be saved. Unfortunately, it was eventually sold for I think $3 million US, and on its way to Europe, it sank. It was in a real terrible state. But note, $3 million US it was sold for, as opposed to what Kamla sold the Panama for, 300,000 US. See the fundamental difference? 300,000. Dr. Rowley had been inclined to try and fix the Express, but it would have cost too much money, more than what it was valued at, and they decided not to do it. So it went. 3 ferries he bought. How many did Kamla buy? 0. None. With the highest energy revenues in this country's history, not 1 ferry did you buy. Dr. Rowley buy 3. Today, the Sea Bridge has the most amount of ferries that it has ever had. 4. All of them running. All of them going for service on time. No problems. You had little teething problems in the earlys with the Galleons Passage, but that has sorted itself out. I can't remember the last time I see a picture or a video of people complaining about the Galleons Passage. 4. Who did that? Keith Rowley did that with less money than Kamla Persad-Bissessar had. Keith Rowley built 3 hospitals. Arima, Roxborough, Point Fortin. Grandy under construction, Central Block under construction. Right? Central Block is well advanced. For those of you who are not in Port of Spain, you mightn't see. So take a drive and you will see. Well advanced. That building that had been there since 18 long. That Dr. Rowley indicated he was concerned when in 2018 we had the big earthquake. He was concerned that it would have collapsed, right? Central Block, well advanced. How many hospitals Kamla built? 1. Couva Hospital, but she borrowed money from the Chinese to build, and then she took the Chancery Lane office complex and made it an extension of the San Fernando Hospital. So she built one hospital. So this dotishness, they like to talk that the Arima Hospital started under them and Point Fortin started under them. No matter. Turning Sod is not starting a hospital. There was no financing in place for those hospitals, and this administration, when they came in, had to find the money to finance the hospitals. And not only that, they were able to retender. The only way you could, if you retender, it means that you put it back out there and you get new contractors. If it is that the job had been started, when they came in, they couldn't retender because the contractor would have already started the work, awarded the contract, and so on. But the supporters don't want to hear that. They lie. Kamla built Point Fortin Hospital. Build it where? Is that prefab? She turned out on the 21st of May 2015. 3.5 months before the election. She turned this out for Arima on the 7th of May 2015, exactly 4 months before the election. So unless it is that those two hospitals are prefab and they built it in 4 months, or they're talking nonsense. She did not build Arima Hospital, she didn't build Point Fortin Hospital, but still parroting that stupidness on the Monday Night Forum for the waterfront ilk to suck up. But the rest of us, we know better. 3 hospitals completed, Rowley built. 2 under construction, Kamla built 1. But no kudos for that. Keith Rowley built the Curep interchange, which under them was delayed because they couldn't decide on contractor. That is what led to Stacey Rupnarayan's demotion, when it is that the board of NIDCO indicated that the minister was trying to interfere. Attempted bid rigging. She sent the letter to Kamla expressing the concerns of the board of NIDCO, and Kamla sent the letter back to Suroja and tell him, you deal with that. Himself to himself. And the next thing you know, Stacey Rupnarayan is removed from the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure and demoted and put back in the Ministry of Sport where she originally was. She really care about corruption? Is that the actions of a prime minister who cares about dealing with corruption? Really? Is that how you do it? Rowley built the Curep interchange, 300 million less than what they had budgeted it for. Diego Martin interchange, currently under construction. Right? Go down there and see it. That Anil Roberts trying to sully and see what they do that for the white people. You see, again, the racist you. Where they wanted to get rid of them little black boys and them who was wiping windshield by the traffic light by Westmoreland say. Yeah? So all that money the state spent just to get rid of about 10 little black boys, according to he. But the PNM blowing the racial dog whistle. Diego Martin interchange, almost complete. The Diego Martin Sporting Complex, looking nice like an international arena. Go down there and see it. Yeah? Very nice. I recall when it was opened, and people went down, when the media went there, they were expressing shock and awe at this beautiful facility. That is looking like a stadium in Manchester. Yes, PNM did that under Keith Rowley. The Diego Martin Health Center on Wendy Fitzwilliam Boulevard. Go and see it. It's big like a hospital. Go and check it out. Yes, Keith Rowley did that. Caranage Police Station. Keith Rowley did that. Yeah? What Kamla built for Caranage? She get him a school. The fish fry. Keith Rowley built that too. And that's right. Rowley did that. The Magnificent 6, refurbished. They left for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. They left Millefleur boarded up. Right? When this administration came in, Millefleur was on the verge of collapse. It was on the verge of collapse. This building that had been there since 1903 or thereabouts, a part of this country's heritage, board up looking nasty and old, beat out. It was just to bring up a bulldozer and lick it down. That is where it had reached. But this government under Keith Rowley took the decision to bring in foreign experts from Cuba with specialty in heritage restoration. And they restored that building. Today it is the headquarters of the National Trust. Today that building is earning income. Almost every week you have 2, 3, 4 different persons, entities wanting to rent it for weddings, for conferences, for advertisements, you name it, all manner of things. That is that Millefleur that under them for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days was abandoned is today earning its keep and making plenty money. School tours, all kind of thing, you name it, making plenty money because Keith Rowley and the PNM decided to bite the bullet and fix it from the eyesore that the People's Partnership left. Right? So the other 6 buildings completed. So now we have something for when the tourists come on the cruise ship. You see all the maxis line up on the other side and the tourists out with the cameras. Even when they ain't come on the cruise ship, you're seeing them in front of the buildings taking pictures. They come here and these are some of the things that they go and look at. But Keith Rowley did that. President's house. I think tonight they're supposed to be having a dinner, hosting regional CARICOM heads, the head of the United Nations and so on. The president is supposed to be having a state dinner at President's house, which Keith Rowley restored. But under them, 2010 to 2015, all they put was a canopy over the portion that collapsed. They promised Max Richards, before you leave office, don't worry, this will be complete and you will move in. Never happened. Never happened. It took a Keith Rowley administration to come in, bring in the experts and do it. And today, President's house is restored to its former glory. Yeah? President's house, no. President had to be living in a cottage behind the official residence for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. 2 presidents had to do that. 2. Max Richards, Carmona had to be living in the cottage. And meanwhile, they had this eyesore in front. And Kamala Boston, we had all the highest energy revenues in the country's history, and all you put was a canopy. And I'm sure it had a racket in that too. You did absolutely nothing after that. No attempt whatsoever to fix it. Rowley came in, it is restored. Today, it's looking nice. So another thing for the tourists to come and take pictures of. And it costs what? $80 million less than what they had said they were planning to spend on it. $169 million is what they were planning to spend. And the hypocrisy, you're complaining about $89 million spent, but your budget was $169. Rowley completed the Brian Lara Cricket Academy that they left for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. And all they did in that 5 years is complain and complain. Leave it as a monument to PNM shame and PNM wastage and squandermania. That's what they did. Left it there. Tell us it would cost $150 million plus to fix the problem. Did nothing about it. Keith Rowley administration came in and they did it for $89 million. Today, it's functional, earning its keep. The same people was criticizing it and telling us it's on sinking sand, but every time it have a CPL match, they're the first ones inside. Line up, long line of cars on the highway to get inside. All they didn't want it between 2010 to 2015. It's no good. Yeah, it's no good. Manning spent a set of money on it and it's over budget and all kind of nonsense. And look at it, they're rusting, wasting away. Today, it is being used, not just for sporting events, Carnival Fed too. It's earning its keep, right? It's making money. But for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, they didn't have the oversight to fix it. They didn't do that. Yeah, but the PNM may do nothing. Really? They love to boast they built 106 schools. Ask them how many houses they built. You ever hear anybody from the UNC talk about how many houses they built between 2010 to 2015? I would think if you build 1,000 houses, 2,000 houses, that's something for you to boast about, because if you build 106 schools, 2,000 houses to me trumps 106 schools. Never hear them talk about house. But they give out house. Who built it? Who built the houses? They were proud to give out 100 houses a week. Built by who? Patrick Manning and the PNM. Ask them how many they built. When Munilal tell us terrestrial lands, houses ready to distribute. Media gone there and all they find is a load of gravel, a load of sand and tobacco. Like they build house for ants and bachak. They didn't build house for people. Clearly they didn't. Right? But take chain up. PNM did that. 8 years, it was 6,000 houses built. All of the housing projects that started under Mr. Manning that they abandoned, again, as monuments to, according to them, PNM wastage. Napoyo Quarter, I always talk about that. Malabar, just after Larry Gomes Stadium, go there and see today. All of those units occupied and new units built on the same lot. Same project, new units. All of these people who are living in these units now at 2010 to 2015, you know what they were doing? Wasting money on rent when they could have been building equity in these homes. Today, they're building equity in these homes and they're happy in the nice gated community. She's talking about put UNC in power and thing for local government, and the local government councils will now have the power to create gated communities. You see where their thinking is at? What they want to use precious money for, rather than to fix road, pave road, and clean drain and all kind of thing. They're talking about taking your money to create gated communities. That making sense to them. Gated communities. So either had a higher security, depending on what type of gate they use. If it is to lift the bar, somebody had to lift it. You had to pay somebody for that. Or if it is that you put on the gate, if the facility allows you to put the electronic gate, everybody had to get remote. Who paying for that? Who maintaining that? Who is maintaining that? But that's what she tell the councillors. I know there's a housing development in the back. Again, another PNM up in the back by the school there. Mount Hope. Yeah, up in the back by Mount Hope there. The secondary school. The residents came together and they put a gate. They gated their own community and everybody have their, But she talking about creating gated community and community comfort patrol. So we will hire private security to drive around and patrol. But you all remember when this PNM administration had proposed to do that on a phase basis? It was for a temporary, I think it was 6 months, where the proposal was that they would have retained a couple private security firms to beef up the security so that they could be patrolling the areas. And the same UNC came out and criticized it. Same UNC criticized it and said, and they want to give contract to the friends, family, and financiers. They want to give Abood and Sabga and them and Amalgamated and all of them big contract. They fight it down. The government said, all right, fine, no problem. The population don't want it, no problem. But today she advocated the same thing. And her supporters sit down and, waving flag, ringing bell, and blowing conch shell. Yes, leader. Yes, leader. Yes, leader. All they didn't want it when it was proposed by the PNM, but your leader coming now to propose it, and it's a good idea. Tell all else what Rowley did. The prisoner transport. Remember, for years they griped $80 million a year spent to transport prisoners, and all that money going in Sabga Abood pocket. Remember they was complaining about that? Today. That started under Pandey. Yes, Pandey instituted that when he was Prime Minister in 1996. But they griping as if it was a PNM. It's no. Well, it was supposed to be the Pandey and Kamla. It was that administration that started that. Who brought it to an end? Keith Rowley. When last you get run off the road by one of these amalgamated trucks transporting prisoners? When last? Haven't, because it was been brought to an end. Came to an end under Keith Rowley. It didn't happen under Pandey. It didn't happen under Kamla. It didn't happen under Manning. It didn't happen under who? Keith Rowley brought it to an end. Today, the prisoners don't need to leave the prison. They go in a room, have a big TV, right? The screen come on, you talk to the judge talk to you, the magistrate or whoever it is, as the case may be, right? And they take you back to your cell. Who did that? Keith Rowley and the PNM did that. 66 courtrooms, new courtrooms built in the Judicial Center in the waterfront. 66 new courtrooms. Who did that? Keith Rowley did that, not Kaplan. Keith Rowley did that, right? But they want to talk about the PNM do nothing. PNM do nothing. They spent $230-something million to build a new licensing office in Caroni. Wasn't supposed to cost that much money because the budget, according to what Ruhan Sinanan said, was that money was supposed to build 6 licensing offices throughout the country. 6. They spent $230-something million, and the little caca that was left, $39 million. They were voted out of office before they get a chance to thief that. It took Ruhan Sinanan to use that 39 to build 5 new licensing offices. 5. Yeah? 5. Ruhan did that. Plans are underway now for Tubberland Interchange. So Diego Martin was the first. They're going to move the lights from UE in St. Augustine, Mokoya. And so go heading east soon enough, all of the traffic lights will be removed, free flow of traffic. Yeah, but that happened under Keith Rowley. It's Keith Rowley that increased your personal allowance 3 times. 3 times, Kamla never touched it. Never touched it. So that today, plenty of you who are not paying income tax anymore, who are paying income tax under Kamla but not paying it anymore today. It's thanks to Keith Rowley, not Kamla. She never touched it, the $1 million Minister of Finance. The wrong peg in the wrong hole. Not the square. There's the square peg did it. The engineer, who always say no nothing about finance, he's an engineer. But you had the banker and the economist. They didn't do that. Coleman Wood did it. Plenty of the rest all there, $7,500 a year all saving in taxes that you would have sent to the Board of Inland Revenue. Keith Rowley did that. We come back to the housing projects. So I mentioned the Poyo Court, they abandoned that. At that time when I used to walk around the Larry Gomes Stadium there, in 2010 when they first came in, they had the galvanized fencing around the project. So first the pipers take the galvanized fencing. They realized nothing happened. Eventually they went into the units that were more or less complete, right? The same one except for a little thing here or there, ready to be occupied. They went in, they teeth out all the fixtures, the sink, the toilet bowl, all them things they gone with. All they left was the shell. So that when this administration came in now, they had to incur additional expenses to make these units livable. When all the People's Partnership had to do was to do whatever finishing touches needed to be done and give out the homes. But for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, you all left it abandoned and allowed the vandals to go in and do their do. Yeah. Beaufort in St. James, up back by the Western Cemetery there, up on the hill. Nice apartments. Ocean View, they abandoned that. 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Why? For the spend or vote first. So what we bothering to do that for? They left it abandoned. All those units that could have been given out, could have been finished, and people could have been living in it, building equity. It took the Rowley administration when they came in to finish it, expand it, and give it out. But you know the one that they set the site on? Victoria Keys. That is close to Westmoreland. Big shot area. That is the one we're interested in. So that was supposed to be, again, for low-income families, thanks to Patrick Manning. But the PP come in and they say, you know what, nah, down here too nice for them miscreants, them cockroach and them, too nice for them to live in. You know what we need to do? We need to change the scope of works and turn 3-bedroom into 2-bedroom, put in swimming pool, tennis court, covered car park, all them kind of thing. Because, hey, if you're living here and you don't want to drive, all you have to do, you just go and you walk over and you walk across the West Mall, and like yourself, you have Massey stores right there. You don't have to go far if you don't feel to drive. But if you want to drive, you ain't going far neither. You just want to walk down that way, Starlight Shopping Plaza right there. No problem. FCB right there. Everything within walking distance. Like yourself. That too good for them plebs. Them P&M plebs and them that Manning build that for. Because that's their mindset. And increase the ceiling, the income ceiling to qualify from HGC home to 45,000. So the liar and the doctor friend and them could come and get the units. That's what they did. And they would have been living in prime real estate. If they had won that election in 2015, all their friends, family, and financiers would have been owning 2 and 3 to rent out. Yeah, to be renting state property. All they would have buy it and rent it out. And everybody wants to live down on that side. Yeah, that's the place to live. So, of course, when this administration came in, unfortunately, because of the amount of money that had been, imagine an HDC development with a penthouse costing $4 million. I wonder who would have buy that, boy. Who was earmarked to purchase that? Must be disappointed today. But for sale, you can still buy it. But that's the problem. That should have been an HDC development. It is not. So that's less. They took houses out of the HDC housing stock. They always complain there's over 100 and something thousand people on the waiting list. And you had this entire complex there that should have gone to the HDC to reduce the number of persons on the waiting list. And they decided to do something underhanded to make it out, to put it out of the reach of the average citizen who could have benefited. As Dr. Roy said, we can't do nothing. We had to put it on the open market because the amount of money that I spent and the thing that we can't make it HDC houses. But who did that? The UNC did that. But no licks for that. Real Spring and Valsine, same thing. All over the country, a number of housing developments went through that they abandoned. To say, look, a monument to P&M wastage. Monument to P&M wastage. That's what they did. And I want to tell you, put us back in office in 2025. And we will do better. Really? That's the better all you're going to do? Miss me with that BS. The Diego Martin Regional, the new administrative complex for the Diego Martin, now Borough Corporation. And you see what they did? They have FCB as a tenant. So they earning extra money because of that. Yeah? FCB is a tenant there too. Who did that? Keith Rowley administration did that. Yeah? In the manifesto, which I will revisit next week, they talk about in 2020, but that's the same manifesto they're coming back with, that they will they will look at GATE and they will restructure GATE to offer GATE to only for courses that are in line with the country's economic development strategies. You see hypocrisy? The same thing that this PNM administration did. They said, you know what, we are going to offer courses that is in line with what is the country's economic development needs. When Keith Rowley and the PNM did that, the UNC was all over the place. They closed the gate, they this and that. Now they only offering for certain thing and whatnot. But it's in your manifesto that the very same thing that you criticize is the very same thing that you are offering to do in 2020. That making sense? And that is what they do. They criticize policy that is good policy, but it's in your manifesto. But you're not worried because you know what? Your supporters don't read. None of them. All this time, you feel that any of them going to read a manifesto? And half of them, if they read it, they even understand what that means. But it's just there. It's just something for them to fan themselves with when they need Monday night for a meeting and they carry it home as a souvenir and you put it up. But they're not reading what is inside of it. Because if they were to read what is in it, you would realize that if it is you put these people back in 2025, this country is going to be in anyway. But as I said, we will interrogate it next week. I will continue that exercise. So you can see the rubbish, because every night, Monday Night Forum, they're telling you about this is what we will do for you. And this is really our policy. Really? We will interrogate their policy, which Mariano Brown and Indira Sajiwan Ali call pie in the sky. It's a pack of nonsense. And if they were to come and implement that throughout the entire thing, everything is, we will invite the private sector. We will invite the private sector. We will invite the private sector. So they plan to basically privatize Trinidad and Tobago. But if the government only make mention of that, we want to fix the port. Fix the port. Public-private partnership. The state will continue to earn the port, but we will invite some private entity to run the port and to manage it, and they will pay the government. Just as what happens with the Hyatt, where you have the Hyatt entities running the hotel, and the government makes the bulk of the money. And the Hyatt takes a management fee. And it's working very well. Same thing with Hilton. Working very well. They tell you that thank God the government wants to sell out the port to the Chinese and all kind of stupid talk. But in their manifesto, that is all you're seeing. All. But we will continue. I'm looking at the time. We will continue. What today is? Tuesday? Tuesday. We'll see how Tuesday works out. Right? We continue to discuss what it is this PNM administration has done over the last 8 years. Contrary to what they say that the government didn't do nothing. Right? That's what they say. Let me see here. Just give me 1 sec to activate this thing here. Waste our time, people. Just now. 7701763. Right. Let me see. Stephanie says, Kamala, I don't have that stamina to work the long hours as Dr. Rowley. Remember her weekend starts on a Wednesday, and her own people said now they're going back again. Shame on them. Carrie Griffith and Jack, no damn shame, power hungry. Indeed. Let's see. Hello. Morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning, Jen.
I wanted all those who love tuning in and listening to information, facts, evidence, no old talk. We total, we can't we pause you in any way, wheelchair walking, take one over 80. We total knowledge to the poll August the 14th and we vote in PNM. Not that I will get a seat and that UNCE. Nothing for them. We voted for local government reform. You see, Kamala and them right now, they don't have anything. They don't have anything to talk on the PNM, so they want to talk about checks. But we know when you look at it logically, that ain't making sense. They want to talk about all kind of things to distract and Ubarashi and the PNM must be called. We don't have time with that, or they have nothing as substance, or you're done. You want that front ink and not that ass. So we are voting for that. We voted for progress. We voted for progress at Trinidad and Tobago. We voted local government reform where the councillors will be able to get a better salary. They don't have to go and pull bull. They have to go and work no security. Big money, when I say big money, more increase in salary, the little stipends to the capital, the little office and the little staff. They're going to get the corporations up and running properly, collecting the taxes, property tax, all the other taxes, so we could fix the roads, we could take up the garbage, we could do the street light, and all the things, all that be calling the minister, because all the council flying with, now the council have to work, because of we get the money. That's what we voted for. We don't take no old talk about no check. We don't hear no old talk about nothing. What we want to hear is real things, facts, and all the trolls and all the imps, the pimps, punks, deadbeats, is let me say so, deadbeats, bullers, bandits, all of them, like what Dr. Deborah Moran say in the USA, come out the purge. Apparently she purging. So here what? We voted and we voted PNM come August the 14th, 2020. Surely don't forget it. Get up early. Don't wear no colors. Wear normal thing. And ram your finger straight down in the ink after you go to the People's National Movement. I'll go and have a blessed everybody. Love is spreading at the same time. I go on.
Thank you, Jen. Let's see here just now. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, Dom.
Morning, sir.
The rest of the hard-headed tax crew, because that's over here.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, as I raised those points, I was having that discussion with 2 young voters in my family. My niece in her 20s and my son would be a full-time voter.
Right.
So they were saying to me that, you know, it don't really make no sense to vote everybody the same thing. And I started to spit out some of the same facts that we spit out. I spit out the fact of, they say, well, what has PNM done for us? I say, all right, take the 20 years of GATE and who has benefited, where our tertiary education enrollment has moved from the late 90s, early 2000s to where it is now. And particularly in the terms of young women, right, where across all faculties in UB is being dominated by them, and even the other institutions, UTT and COSTAC and Experience. I say, PNM did that. That is really natural gas and oil money went to. I say, you look at all the programs that have been put in educationally, and we're not wrong when I was a young person, under YTEP, whereas under YTEP must type MIC, right? I pointed out the homestead program now, where you as a young person between 18 and 35 could get your own land to plant and be involved in agriculture if you so wish. Then you will also have a piece of land afterwards with a starter home for you and your family. Where's that? That is generational wealth. Who is doing that? And PNM is not doing it in terms of saying, well, we want to gerrymander or place black people in the constituency. I say go back to when Carney closed on with something like the Prime Minister reference. Who would have benefited from the money? And how many of them are in fact using the 2-acre plus they get in the way it was envisaged when the agreement was made to them by the government? How many businesses exploded in Central? But when I talk about Foster Cummings and what he is doing, you understand? And these are the facts that you rightly said that we have to point out. I even told them, I said, look, my niece is employed in one of the government ministry. I said, right at COVID, you still had your job.
Yes.
To be able to take care of your children. You were not displaced economically. Look at how much of our brothers in the Caribbean cannot sing that same song. I say, you recall in 2020 when the price of oil fell to below zero. It was below zero. When you watch the graph was under zero. You understand? That is the reality that the key Rowley administration face. And, you know, when they go back to reference, well, when Mr. Embert said, I really gas 3 times, they didn't riot yet. How come we didn't have any riots for that? People were saying that we should go out on the streets. Remember that, Dominic?
Yes.
And protest.
Yes.
And protest what the government doing, all kind of thing. And with that little conversation in the car, I was able to convince my son and my niece why they have to vote. And in our own circle, that is what we have to do, because we are become converted here. You know, a friend of mine told me again about but what we do with the money, I said the current expenditure that we're going on, I said capital project still going on. Look here, you reference all the constructions. You know, I'll go back to the period 2010, leading up to that, when the mayor Shogunas was Suraj Ramachan, he had this talk show with Sadio Mohammed.
Yes.
And he will always be talking about the towers there in 500. And when they came in, they allowed that to remain, and I saw they didn't finish it. Why? Because look at housing that would have brought African people into Central. They were starting to change the voting pattern. Nonsense. But just because of pure vindictiveness, or if you I saw there. When Camille Robertson Regis was the Minister of Housing, and she said how much it would cost to restart that. You know what I mean? Ooh, they're going up. Why? Because of all the neglect. And these are the facts that we have to carry. So like I said, my brother, I have two young soldiers who are converted to the cause of voting in the right way. And if there's two, if each of us in our little community do that, then the two will be thousands. And these people will get the shock of their life on the night of August the 14th. Keep the flag flying, brother. Well done, as usual.
Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself. Hello, good morning.
How are you today?
I am good.
Yes, man. Enjoying your editorial, very good as usual. Your comment facts,
Yes.
not fake news. And continue going to do work. I see you have a well-known influencer following your boy. Stark Entertainment.
Really?
Yeah, good morning to that guy. Yeah. You have a little conversation with him.
Okay.
I hope with the knowledge that he taken from you, I hope you could bring some positivity to the youth. Because he see things a little different from you.
Right.
You know? But that is very good. Because apparently your thing, your program is getting traction. Even from that influencer. So which means that you're making inroads on them.
Indeed.
To the point that some of them coming out to harass you on Facebook. But seriously, Dominic, you see these so-called fake news that is going out from the UNC and NTA. Yes. Like you say, the more you tell a lie, it will become a truth. All of this is from Cambridge Analytica, you know. This is plain out from Cambridge Analytica itself. Right? So I don't know if it's possible that you have clippings of that documentary called The Great Hack. Yes. And show the people of when you have time, just show a clipping of that and show the difference between the Indian voters and the African voters, because it is being played out. They know us to a T. Remember, we was a lab rat experiment, you know? Yes. We were the testing point here. So they know us to a T, to the point that we are very emotional. They throw things to us, and we, the African people, just lap it up, get emotional, and we just vote in a certain direction. You understand what you understand what I'm saying, though? Yes. So I understand the game that being played out. Interesting enough, they was focusing on the so-called fake check that was issued yesterday. Not yesterday, the day before. But they're talking about the background that is going on with the so-called controversy with certain councils with some thing track. Because I admit to understand, I see something there that they replaced Zambo. Yes. How come that wasn't in the news? They're not interested in that. Oh, but they're interested in check. Yes. And body shaming the poor girl who going in St. Augustine. So now they're interested in. Oh, I see. And then talking about the allegation of sexual misconduct down Princess Town too. Yeah. They're talking about that candidate. And they're talking about the so-called audio about disgruntled UNC activists with a certain UNC candidate in Felicity. They're talking about that either. Well, that's why they're saying don't vote. Forget about all that. Oh, okay. I understand why. Stand your ground. Yes. Well, all I can say is, Mr. Dominic continues doing, what you can do is get those little clips, The Great Hack, yes, and tell the people about what is stand your ground now, because apparently, and after I'm African, like they don't watch news in the United States. So that's how they just stand your ground lawyers. I will listen to the earth. Yes, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, it is. That's what I did, Dominic. All right, Dominic, I've fallen here. I'm in class boy. He's a very good lecturer. All right, and I was following this on Kamla Prasad Professor's manifesto.
Yes.
I will also add that what she said is that no new taxes. And she will remove the property tax because this government, a wicked government, that's taxing way up and the tax, you cannot tax away into poverty. All this other rubbish she does be talking. Right? So where she's going to raise the funds to do all these fights in the sky that she's promising to give us, where that funding is going to come from?
Yes.
Well, she's also said, I will use the unspent balances at unit trust. So she went in the unit trust and use all our money, okay?
And NIB.
You saw what she did to NGC? 16 billion at the best that Christopher got.
Yes.
Right? All I just see is NGC have up some little signs and some of them still up at the dilapidated to fall down and say that NGC bill a pay back. NGC bill and pay back. Basketball court. And if you look at some of these things and then the corporation, with especially that falls under court jurisdiction, is run down. Which their councillors and their burgesses supposed to be still taking care of.
Yes.
When you have a responsible government that explains that to you and telling you that a councillor can get to cut a ground and all these other things and how when you redo the local government system to make them more responsible and how easy it is if they will have funding by the same taxes that you in your neighborhood paying. So you are paying your councillors and them taxes. So when you tell them, hey, with these children can't play on the ground, the grass high, look, the basketball ring is mash up, and we want to get it fixed, we want to get a little paper to keep the children occupied. Well, we have money, central government, thinking we no money. Why they pull in the pockets? Because if you look under administration, because that party is so disorganized, who's been watched by the police and being investigated for questioning and all these other things is who has been charged. And you know what? When a reporter asks her what she's doing about it, she never answered that question and it continues. So the same people who stealing is the same people going back up again. So what do you think you're expecting? Well, we have a responsible government and thing. So in my area, which I know come the local government election, they will be back in.
Yes.
And now I will go and have them accountable for things around my area. And if you have councillors and them that is being alleged stealing and they have them still on there while the investigation is being thing and have them still in position with accounting and money and those things as we have seen in Sandy Grande, I'm going to run and tell my people in my area, come, let me go in front of the thing and placard them, call the media and things to get them out. Let them stay out until they clear the name. Because we will want to know. And the US will gladly support me in doing that. But once it is against them, Kamla knows nothing. When you ask him Kamla a question all over here, and then he could just speak, she not saying nothing. So she's going to give us all that she promised. Ham, lamb, and jam. And she's not saying where the financing is going to come from, especially what then you're cutting your allocation that will be contributed to your budget. So in other words, she's going to borrow to do some of the things that she promised to deliver. And then we'll be going right back down the hill where we'll be borrowing, setting our budget back up. Well, it will be no 63 billion again. That might end up to about 70 billion. And we will be running a $70 billion budget under Kamla Prasad Professor. And earning what? We probably earning about what? 60 billion now? No,
less.
With all the new measures that this government put in place, now we're earning about just roughly around 60 billion. So run a $70 billion budget and you had to borrow the other $10 billion. You go sting the country. Part of this lady, boy. This lady is she's totally out of line. And they want me to vote for that. And when you tell them that it's the coupons and them, they don't care about that. They just want to see because she look like me. And she's saying, and she's the mother of the nation, and saying that it's not about what she can do for the country, it's because she look like me. But I want me to think and tell me sycophant, all them sycophant, and I go back and vote for Rowley again and vote for, well, okay. If it's so, tell me, explain 33-3 and the 12-29 that Kamala got. Who would have given Kamala that amount of power? That large majority in parliament to pass any law that she wanted? Who would have given her that? Not the same PNM sycophants and them.
Yes.
But the UNC seats and them, if they right you as election and boundary will grow and thing and the seats go up, all the areas that are prominently the Indian base never shift their votes. They never shift their vote. There are Indians living in the area that fed up a Kamala will vote PNM, or they'll vote Anal, or they'll vote somebody else. But the majority of them, that is why Rural Mulilal was able to win his landslide after coming on that, all they hear what went on with EMBD. After all they hear what went on with EMBD, the voting Rural Mulilal landslide. The nearest person to Rural was close enough to say he could call for any sort of, call for a recall would be a waste of time. Because the percentage of the votes that he got compared to the closest competitor, it was a total blowout. But they want to call me a sycophant. But I am telling them, all them UNC people who want to your program and listen. No body, whether it's UNC, whether it's PNM, because I be two main parties. One for the control of my area, yeah, and anyone else, even they out. They out. O-U-T out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Morning to the Avon listeners and the viewers of the Bunking and Pastor Something pages. Dominic, I have two burning issues I want to deal with. One, you see that point 14 fiasco with the UNC NTA Bacchanal? I want somebody to ask me, right, that if I am going to a party, and a political party, right, and you come and join with me as a coalition, but you decide now that I'm going to give the other party the opportunity to fight the election, knowing that I was good upon that particular party, that was the UNC ticket. And they come and you send NTA down there, right? So the 5 persons or the 6 persons would have screened for UNC in the Point 14 Borough Corporation, right? You come and join it with NTA, and you come and switch hands now. Where that leaves the 6 persons who would have been screened for the UNC, are you going to tell me that you're going to shift gears from UNC to NTA? You understand? And this is what has been going on in these corporations, just as in the Piaco as well. Or you're going to put up people, right, to fight on a UNC ticket, and when talks generate, you're going to switch from UNC to NTA. So in other words, you are giving the electorate a perception that, if I voted for a UNC candidate, it's not really UNC I'm voting for, it's NTA. And that is the same thing that Google would have questioned, because if he was questioning Gary about that, because okay, you're going to fight with the UNC in certain areas, but how genuine or the agreement of terms and conditions that what they have? So people, UNC and NTA is not an option in this country at this present time, right? They are not an option because one, Gary aim is to become commissioner. God forbid Kamala wins the 2025 general election. Because if they win the election, Kamala is going to put Gary as the commissioner of police, and all the allegations that Gary had relative to the 108 million ammunition in this country, she will drop all of that. So that is why the motormouth going to join up with Kamala. Yeah, but people, UNC, NTA, not an option in this country right now. Right? So what they do, think, and know what all they are about with these people, because they're not for country. Look, for example, last night you had a Model Forum, right? Not one NTA support from the party was on your platform talk and always talk about coalition. Not one NTA, Dominic. Not even, I say, no, not anything. Not one of these asses, right, on the platform talking on behalf of the NTA. You have the leader alone talking, Rowley this, Rowley that, Rowley the other, Rowley X, Y, and Z. That is all. So is he the whole party, or he represents the whole party? So you have nobody else to really come and talk on behalf on the UNC platform? No. So that clearly shows Gary has one agenda. He wants to be commissioner again in this country under Kamala administration. Right? That then and gone. So people don't know what to do. There is no option. The next thing, this Lyndon the Gans fella from Central Bank as a chauffeur too. If you as a worker did 28 years, right? You know the Central Bank have policies and rules they are operate by, right? They told you if you are going to vie for political as a candidate for in an election, you have to resign. They've gone for an injunction against the Central Bank and find that they cannot file it in the event that you would vie for a candidate for the election, right? Okay. But that policy was there since 2015, so are you there 28 years now? So don't come and tell people that you ain't know about it. You're fully aware of the rules that they run by. But no, you want to have Gianti and Anna Ramlogan to go and any court to block your injunction from being fired from Central Bank, because you know that Kamala put in a seat that is not guaranteed to win. You understand? She put in a seat that is not guaranteed to win. Right? So, in the event that you lost that seat in election, you should get back and work in Central Bank. So, Gianti and Anna Ramlogan gone now to file an injunction and block your application from being fired. And you're saying about the constitutionality against freedom of expression and political political freedom and something. Right? So is it okay that somebody who is in public office, right? Public office could go and vie for political candidacy for a party and still give out the job? That was them pushing in the country. Like, for example, let me say, Dominic, if somebody is a member of the protective services or the judge or you name it, and they're going to vie for a candidate for a party, and in the event that this happens, so that's the narrative that the UNC pushing in this country. Because if the PNM do that, oh God, well here that they would have take PNM from no till and they'd have carried that quite down the road. Yeah, so because it's UNC is vying for. So it's our land good. Yeah, that they cannot nonsense that the UNC pushing in this country, that they must be in political in public office and still vie for political party and candidacy for a party. That was going on with them in this country. But people all August 14, do all they have to do. Because if them get back in there, it's problems in this country, because them trying to mash up every single entity and office in this country with nasty and vindictive narrative behavior. Dominic, good program. I love and listening.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Dominic, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Dominic, my phone number coming out, are you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Take it down, give me a call now.
Will do.
Not by one Alexander Place, by Pike.
All right.
Hey, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
The meeting PNM had in San Fernando.
Uh-huh.
Dr. Rowley told PNM supporters how he tired holding secrets. I say, well, thank God he go and tell the PNM supporters all the nonsense he and Stuart Young did. Behind the next meeting up in the east, Dr. Rowley tell them there are things I can't tell all you. You know, he changed his mind. Dominic,
yes.
Wasn't Dr. Rowley who said how the PNM was a mafia? And if you break ranks, we will kill you politically.
I'm not aware of that.
And when Dr. was holding secrets,
uh-huh.
He still want to hold secrets. He is for the holding secrets, Dominic. It's time we tell PNM supporters they should the nonsense and Stuart Young did. I heard you mention a couple of things. I put my pen and paper, Dominic.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to tell you in time to come. Don't have to head.
All right.
I will leave it there for now.
Thank you, sir. I still have a lot of things to speak about that the People's National Movement would have done over the course of the last 8 years. Things which needs to be said and shared. And what I've come to realize, there are a significant part of the reason why a lot of these UNC supporters are always attacking is because they don't know. And I know when they give them the information, all of a sudden they run and hide. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic. How are you doing?
Morning, sir. I am good.
Yes. Good program as usual. I want to join Jennifer Frederick.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we are aware of all the issues, and we've got to remember all those issues. But the most critical thing in this local government election is voting. Those of us who have been to witness the count on election night will understand that. Because when you sit there on that night to witness the count, all the other things don't matter. It is when they call your candidate and they call him and they say, well, so-and-so, Dominic, that is the thing. And that is the thing that the UNC has been strategizing on for years. We do a lot of other things, but sometimes we make excuse for not voting.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened with Ansel Dennis in Tobago? He lost the election by 4 votes.
Yes.
You hear that?
Yes.
4 votes. In a family of 4 people. You can go out and one other, and you would have been in the THA today.
Yes.
So while we learn all the things, all the other things, just to remember there's a cocktail being presented to us. That cocktail is a poisonous political cocktail made up of NTA cockroach and UNC standing ground. You want to drink that? You have to go and vote. That NTA cockroach, you remember that word? And the UNC standing ground, both of them together. Who do you think they're going to destroy politically and democratically and economically? Who do you think they're going to destroy? So we've got to be aware. So I am calling on the people today, as I will do for quite a few days. I'm calling on the people of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, right? Sangre Grande Northeast, Sangre Grande Northwest, and all the others there, but particularly Sangre Grande Northwest. Miss Alicia Thomas, anybody within the sound of my voice from Sangre Grande, don't forget that name. Sangre Grande Northwest, Alicia Thomas. We lost that the last time. We had it in 2016, and we lost it in 2019. Why? 20 PNM people stay home. Only 42% of the people went out and voted. You see how many people did not? So many people did not vote. 58% of the people did not vote. The electors who could have voted, they found something else to do. What was the consequence of that? We got Anil Maraj, it's Sangre Grande, and the chieftains and corrupt cells. That's what the consequence was. I'm also calling out on you to vote and vote in Sangre Grande South for Damian Butun. We can win that seat. It's a winnable seat, but our PNMP must come out and vote. So the big thing for me in this election is voting, coming out and vote, calling all the people to vote. Because while we are upset, we do not want to drink the cocktail that is made up with Kamala and Gigi. The way we deal with that is by voting. We can't go nowhere. We can't bust their head. We can't shoot them. We have a finger. We have a voting finger. And that is how we deal with that. And that is how we'll get local government reform. You can't get local government reform just so. You have to vote for it. And that is my issue. I'm calling on all the people, all our callers. Remember to call all the people to vote. And if you get the names of candidates, better still. I am focusing on Sangre Grande and Tanapuna. So we get our people out to vote and increase the numbers and increase the number of electoral districts. Thank you very much. The people who are within the sound of my voice, call all the people. Let them come out and vote. We lost by 4 votes in THE, and it must never happen again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, indeed, Janice. Yeah, so let me see what I have here. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning to you, Dominic.
Morning.
Dominic, are you hearing me clearly?
Loud and clear.
Okay. That you are aware of this stranglehold that the NRA has in the Republican Party, right, Dominic?
Yes.
Right. Is that Kamala is trying to create another, wealth group? Because if you want to stand your ground, it means that you need to import a lot of weapons.
Yes.
Okay? You need to import ammunition and so. And who do you think will be getting those contracts?
Mm-hmm.
Just leaving that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad that the caller raised that as I prepare to wrap up. I'm glad the caller raised that because, and I want you all to listen to this. The UNC is telling you, poor people, the average citizen, can't afford to pay property tax, right? They can't afford to pay $81 more per month. They can't afford to pay $972 a year in property tax. What's the cost of a gun? What is the cost of a gun? Telling you you're a law-abiding citizen, you have a clean record, you could get a gun. How much for a gun? $200? $500 for a gun? I have a friend who would have gotten his FUL under Mr. Griffith. Right? You know, he told me, the gun that he purchased cost him $6,500, and he bought it from a legitimate gun dealer. You can't afford to pay $972 a year in property tax, but you could afford to pay thousands of dollars for a gun. And that making sense to the supporters of the UNC, right? We can't afford to put food on the table. We suffering. We eating grass. We can't afford to buy whole chicken anymore. All we're buying is chicken foot. Yeah? The average citizen in this country can't afford to put food on the table to make ends meet and pay the bills. We can't afford to pay an additional $80-something or $30-something, or in some cases $17 a month, or $17 every 2 months. We can't afford to pay that as an increase on tea and tech. Can't afford that. We're suffering, but we could afford to buy gun. And you have thousands of dollars to go and buy gun and buy bullets. And the same people who cry in trouble is the same people who can afford that, right? Well, you can't afford to buy food, but you can buy gun. All right. I'm going to take this last call here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
You're hearing me clearly?
Clearly, loud and clear.
Right, yeah. I wouldn't even go so far as cost of gun with property tax. Dominic, everybody paying flow by the month.
Yes.
Dominic, you check the basic package for flow.
Yes.
It's $4.75 with the first box free.
Yes.
Second box is $44.95. And recently, as in May month, they raised the third box and onwards to $50.63 from your third box. will have more than that. And the boxes are raised and everybody paying flow. Multiply that 475 when you add on the 44.95 and you add on 50.63, and that is monthly, coming up to more than, multiply that by 12. 12 months a year you're paying flow. Multiply that by 12. See how much money people pay in flow, and people complaining about property tax. Look, I don't want to, according to our caller, don't let me say a bad word in this morning. Dominic, have a beautiful day, darling. And to all on the live, I'll see dinner. Everybody, have a blessed day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Folks, so thank you so much for joining me this morning. It is 8:58, right? Almost 9 o'clock, so we went over by a bit, but that's all right. Yeah, so folks, join me again on... All right, I'm going to just take this last one. Brian, you're my absolute last this morning. Brian, I don't know what went on there. Brian, call me back. I'll give you 2 minutes to call me back. Yeah, so you can join me again on Thursday morning, where we will continue the conversation. We will continue to look at the things that the government has done over the last 8 years, contrary to what is being said in other places and spaces. Brian, morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Dominic, the last caller is so correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he even mentioned this one before. Dominic, to get a new car in Trinidad and Tobago, all of the expensive elite vehicles bought out. You can't get people spending money, Dominic.
Correct.
Dominic, yesterday was my birthday, my son carried me out.
Ah, belated birthday greetings.
If you see people liming, spending money, Monday night, Dominic, because I myself, I think it's so important. Dominic, if you see people in South Lyman spending money, Dominic.
Wow.
Hey, Dominic, real money, I should be waiting now. And it's just little. I should be waiting now. This Friday night. My son telling me, he said, Daddy, if you come here on Friday night, you won't get a chance to go by the bar. I said, what? He said, you won't get a chance to go by the bar. Because real people, you understand? He said, sometimes you can't get to go upstairs because the amount of people that be upstairs, you understand, they come back and wait your turn.
Wow.
I said, really? And you want to pay $81 for your own property, Dominic? Your property, your life, where you spend your life paying for and renovating a building? We don't want to pay $81 a month, Dominic. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're spending money. We have over 2,000 bars in Trinidad and Tobago that Wade Mark was crying for during the COVID to leave open. Because people go suffer. 2,000 bars. And we complaining about $81, Dominic Rowe. 81 for our property, our life, our children's inheritance. We complaining about that. Dominic, we are being misled by the UNC and the NTA who have nobody to represent them. That borrowing people, Dominic.
Correct.
Rental people. For NTA, the renting people. For other parties to go up to them and want them as NTA. That is what we're doing in this country, Dominic. And Trinidad and Tobago, we have to come out and vote for a solid party that have solid representation for all the people's national movement, Dominic. That's what we have to do to demonstrate that, listen, hey, this is not a gun culture. This is not everything else except pay for your own property culture. This is about our culture, our people, Trinidad and Tobago. We need to develop our people. We need to develop our country. And the only way to do that is under PNM government and a PNM party, because the others are fake. Like Jody just said, he is fake. All of them is fake. All of them going up, them is use me now. I want to get in there, fix me now. That is the policy of the opposition, Kamala Prasad Bisesa and Gary Griffith, who only wanted. You can imagine Gary Griffith winning the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, getting $300 million every year. We
What do you think you're going to use that money for, Dominic? To fix drain? To fix lights? To set river courses? Or to help his friends and them to bring in more guns and more ammunition? So far, $2 billion spent on guns and ammunition in this country in these 3 years of commissioner of police. What do you think will happen when you get real money that nobody could have come for? Huh? Dominic, you have to watch it, otherwise we're in trouble.
Yep.
Have a good day, Dominic. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Right, so folks, just now, let me get this here. Where is it? So on Friday, no, that's not. Yes. Friday, Pan People and Party, Friday, July the 7th at 6 p.m. Food, music and vibes, Renegades, Panyard. The cook-up starts at 6. Pan jamming from 7. So come and connect with your candidates. So the PNM is having a meet and greet on Friday at the Renegades, Panyard. All Port of Spain candidates will be expected to be there to meet and greet as many people as possible. Please, so get your supporters out, and they're kicking off this initiative in Port of Spain. And it would be, I suspect it would be moving throughout the country to give you an opportunity to meet with your PNM candidates. So all supporters, all of the PNM family and more, you're invited to come out on Friday, 6 to 10 p.m. at Renegades Panyard for the meet and greet, the cook-up, Pan People Party PNM. So don't miss it. So put that on your calendar, Friday, 6 p.m., Renegades Panyard. Renegades Panyard, has a new Panyard on George Street, is it? Yeah, so, yes, folks, come out. Yes, and happy, again, belated birthday greetings to Brian. I wasn't aware that yesterday was your birthday. I trust that was well spent. But, folks, we'll continue the discussion on Thursday. We will interrogate more the things that the PNM has done over the last 8 years. Contrary to what the UNC is saying that the PNM did nothing, right? They did a heck of a lot more than what Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her government did with less money. All right, so we will continue with that. We will interrogate some more the manifesto of the UNC, what a 2025 under UNC 2025 to 30 could look like, what you could expect. Yeah, so don't take Chino. Kamla say don't vote. PNM people need to take that same advice. All right, so enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go and do the people and work, and we will chat again on Thursday morning, God willing. It was a pleasure.